This afternoon on the marketplace, Ghana's economy back on positive growth as it records 3.9% for the second quarter on the back of services.
Is the contraction in the oil and gas of about 10.7% that led to the 3.9. Otherwise, would have seen a much bigger growth for the second quarter of 2021.
Also, President Akufo-Addo charges ministries for railway development and finance to fast-track completion of railways along the eastern and western corridors to aid bauxite mining and accrue more foreign earnings for the country.
The development of our nation's railway infrastructure will be vital. I've thus directed the ministers for railway development and finance to work together to accelerate the realization of our western and eastern railway network.
And Ghana is the third largest trading partner to the U.S. for last year as well as the first half of this year. We'll hear from the Deputy Assistant to the U.S. Trade Representative for Africa.
In both 2020 and during the first 6 months of this year, Ghana was the United States' third largest two-way trade partner in sub-Saharan Africa after South Africa and Nigeria.
We have more in, of course, the bulletin on Marketplace. I'm Charles Ayete. Let's stay for the details. You're welcome. Now, Ghana's economy expanded by 3.9% in the second quarter of this year, and that's according to provisional figures from the Ghana Statistical Service. The gross domestic product growth rate was driven by a strong pickup in the services and agri sectors. The health and social work, information and communication technology, hotel and restaurants, as well as fishing subsectors expanded significantly. The industrial sector, however, contracted by 4.3%. The government statistician, Professor Samuel Kobna-Aining, explains to Joy Business that the growth rate could have been higher, but for the contraction in the industry sector, which was influenced by a shrink in the mining and quarrying subsector.
In services by 11%, and a growth in our agriculture sector by 5.5%, and a contraction in industry sector by 4.3%. And the contraction in the industry sector was largely driven by mining and quarrying, which contracted by about 18%. And this 18% contraction in mining and quarrying was largely driven by oil and gas, that also contracted by about 10.7%. And the growth that we saw in the services sector was largely driven by health and social work, that grew by 22% on a year-on-year basis. But because it has a relatively lower share compared to trade, repairs of vehicles and household goods, they contributed more to the 11% that we saw in the services sector. So the two main subsectors in the services sector that drove the 11% growth that we saw in the services sector were trade, repair of vehicles and household goods, and information and communication, although their year-on-year change was relatively smaller than what we saw in health and social work.
Okay, what about growth without oil?
Growth without oil stood at 5.2 for the second quarter of 2021, and growth with oil was 3.9%.
Okay, so is it the same drivers that took over there?
Yes, essentially, as I indicated, is the contraction in the oil and gas of about 10.7% that led to the 3.9. Otherwise, would have seen a much bigger growth for the second quarter of 2021. The main source of the slow growth, that is the 3.9, was driven by oil and gas. So if you're talking about non-oil GDP, then services 11% and agri 5.5% would really have pushed the growth rate much higher than 3.9. In contrast, I would say that in the industry sector, had it not been what we saw in manufacturing and construction sector, which contributed to the 3.9, we didn't see a contraction in the construction sector. Yes, we could have seen a much bigger growth in the construction sector, but they really led to minimizing the effect that we saw from the oil and gas subsector.
Meanwhile, for the non-oil growth rate, the economy expanded by 5.2%. Away from that, President Akufo-Addo has charged the ministries for railway development and finance to fast-track the completion of railways along the eastern and western corridors to aid bauxite mining and accrue more earnings for the country. According to him, the success of bauxite mining in the country depends on a good railway network. The president disclosed this at the signing ceremony of the Project 2 of the Integrated Aluminium Industry Development between the Ghana Integrated Aluminium Development Corporation and the Rockshore International Limited, a company in the mining value chain.
Ghana has substantial deposits of bauxite in regions of Ejuanema, Yinehi, and Kibi, but most of them remain unexploited. However, the country is currently putting measures in place to increase bauxite mining activities. President Akufo-Addo believes the success will depend on a good railway network, hence charging the ministries for railway development and finance to speed up the completion of railways along the eastern and western corridors.
The vision of building an integrated aluminum industry is very important to us all, and particularly dear to me, given the significant transformational impact it will have on the development of our economy and the considerable potential it has for wealth creation. It is at the heart of our industrial transformation agenda. The execution of 4 projects in Awaso, Yinehin, Pasaso, and Chebi will lead to the creation of business ventures that will see us reducing our reliance on the import of aluminum products and enable us to develop employment and high-paying jobs for our people. They will also ensure integration and value addition across the bauxite aluminum value chain. If we are to be successful in this venture, the development of our nation's railway infrastructure will be vital. I've thus directed the Ministers for Railway Development and Finance to work together to accelerate the realization of our Western and Eastern railway lines railway network. The port infrastructure necessary to efficient operations for exportation of bulk items has to be developed in tandem, as we seek to do in the Buankra Inland Port Project.
Meanwhile, mining of bauxite in the country will require about $6 billion investments from the private sector. That's according to the Chief Executive of the Ghana Integrated Aluminium Development Corporation, Michael Ansa. He indicated that though the expected amount is one of the audacious industrial programs, he believes it will be utilized properly to fully achieve the exploitation of bauxite reserves and prioritize value addition for both local and international markets.
The projects ensure the full utilization of the bauxite reserves that we have across 3 key locations: in Awaso in the Western North region, in Yinehin and in Pasaso in the Ashanti region, and in Chebi in the Eastern region. These projects uniquely underline our overriding goal of value addition, which is at the core of what GIADEC is all about. The 4 projects together will require private sector-led investments up to $6 billion, making this one of the most ambitious, indeed audacious, industrial development programs since our independence.
GIADEC officially launched the Integrated Aluminium Industry Projects yesterday. The projects include expansion of existing mine at Awaso, development of mines at Yinehi and Pasaso and Chebi, as well as the modernization and expansion of the Valco smelter in Tema.
Meanwhile, the Deputy Minister for Railways Development, Kwaku Asante-Boateng, has charged the newly constituted board of the Ghana Railway Development Authority to remain loyal to the move by presidents to revamp the sector. According to him, the sector is witnessing many new projects and will need the support of the board to deliver the needed infrastructure. Kwaku Asante-Boateng made the request after the swearing-in of the 11-member board of the Ghana Railway Development Authority.
All of us working as a team should bring our experiences over the years to bear on our responsibility as the governing board of the authority, so that together we shall be able to steer the affairs of the authority. So our key words, or the key words that I want to leave with the board, is commitment. And in our work also, we must work diligently. We should be hardworking because it's a new process. We're doing a lot of development and we need hard work. And like I said, we have to be loyal to the board, to our nation, Ghana, so that at the end of it all, we shall be able to achieve laurels.
And of course, the board is chaired by health economist and lecturer at the University of Health and Allied Science, Dr. Martin Amogrem Ayone. Well, away from that, in a bid to ensure transparency in the extractive industry, the Ministry of Finance and the Ghana Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative have launched the Opening Extractives program to ensure transparency and combat corruption in the extractive industry. Executive member of the Ghana Chamber of Mines, Christopher Opoku-Nyako, says the beneficial ownership data helps in the issuance of mining license and the flagging of corruption risks in the extractive industry.
The program, a joint implementation by Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative and Open Ownership, is to facilitate the disclosure of real owners and beneficiaries of companies within and outside the extractive industry. Executive member of the Ghana Chamber of Mines, Christopher Opoku-Nyako, explained that mining firms in the country have been spending an average of about 2 million cedis annually on due diligence with partners in the local market. This, he believes, will go down with the beneficial ownership data.
So the responsibility now is on the companies that for every single company that you're going to transact with, you'd have to do a due diligence to make sure that the company is in the right standing and is doing the right thing. Think about it. We are going to do this on over 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 companies on a regular basis. It's very, very tedious or cumbersome for the companies to do that. So when this whole BO initiative came up, we jumped at it because then it gives us a very simple reference point that you can simply go to. That if I want to transact with, say, Steve & Co. company, you just go into that database, you just check who the owner is, and it takes that whole due diligence cost a bit down for all of us. So that's the main motivation as a chamber that decided to embrace this whole beneficial ownership initiative.
Deputy Minister for Finance John Kuma charged all stakeholders to jointly help to ensure that the beneficial ownership data serves the purpose for which it was invented.
Corporate anonymity remains a major obstacle in the fight against money laundering, corruption, and illicit financial flows. The cross-cutting benefits of beneficial ownership transparency in combating tax evasion and promoting safe trading and investment are also well documented. Governments, citizens, and companies increasingly rely on transparent beneficial ownership data to improve governance, particularly in the natural resource sector. Mr. Chairman, today's occasion is a significant step in the government of Ghana's efforts to tackle corruption and to increase domestic revenue mobilization necessary to finance the development agenda of the country.
Now, Ghana was the third largest trade partner of the United States of America in sub-Saharan Africa during the whole of last year and the first half of this year as well. It closely followed South Africa as well as Nigeria. According to Bennett Heyman, Deputy Assistant U.S. Trade Representative for Africa, the U.S. will continue to implement policies that will foster inclusive, sustainable growth and regional integration on the continent. He was speaking during the 2021 U.S.-Ghana Business Forum.
Now, Ghana has been an important U.S. trade partner of the United States for a very long time and continues to be so. In both 2020 and during the first 6 months of this year, Ghana was the United States' third largest two-way trade partner in sub-Saharan Africa after South Africa and Nigeria. I'm encouraged that our trade flows with Ghana are recovering significantly between last year and this year. Two-way trade during the first 6 months of this year have surged nearly 57% over the same period last year. And what I think is so noteworthy about the US-Ghana trade relationship is that it is diversified across so many sectors. There is not only trade and investment taking place in extractive industries, but also in agriculture, financial services, franchising, and the tech industries. There are major American corporations investing in Ghana, but also many small enterprises doing business as well. We would like to see such a trade pattern with more countries across the continent. Now, much of Ghana's exports to the United States have been under AGOA, and I'm aware that many African governments are growing concerned about the fact that AGOA is due to expire within 4 years, or at the end of 4 years. Tomorrow, the African Union Mission in Washington will be hosting the annual AGOA midterm review. And that will provide a great opportunity for our respective governments to begin a conversation about the path forward. In the coming months and years, the U.S. Chair will want to engage on this, not just with our counterparts in African governments, but also with members of the private sector, civil society, and worker groups. In thinking about post-2025, we should assess how the broadest scope of partners can derive benefit from the U.S.-Africa trade relationship. As we've come to learn, attracting investment in emerging markets requires far more than just trade preferences. And so we need to be creative and strategic about how we chart our path forward.
Bennett Harmon, Deputy Assistant U.S. Trade Representative for Africa there. You're still watching The Marketplace. Well, the Ministry of Food and Agriculture is rolling out a technology to reduce rejection of Ghana's food export commodities on the European market. Known as the ETraceability System, it will support product quality improvement for goods ready for export to enhance its market entry. Stakeholders say it will develop competitiveness in processed mango and pineapple, cassava and cosmetics, and body care products. The mechanism feeds into Ghana's 10-year National Export Development Strategy to increase its non-traditional export revenue to $25 billion by the year 2029. Prince Apia was at a sensitization workshop in Kumasi for stakeholders and industry players and has come through with this report.
After the European Union banned some fruits and vegetables from Ghana from entering its market, the Food and Agriculture Ministry started manual inspection of goods before exports. Though effective, it had some gaps that needed to be filled. The new electronic tracking system being introduced is expected to replace the manual system to ensure that flagged products are traced to the exact farm. Director Project at Ghana Export and Promotions, Alexander Dajawa, says this will be fully implemented by end of 2023.
And concerns have been raised severally about quality of products that are consumed. You know, these days people are very careful about their health. And so they are careful that everything that is imported into their country is able to meet their market requirements. Traceability simply means that when something is exported and it goes out to another country and there's a challenge to that particular product, it must be traced back to the origin or where it comes from. And that gives assurance and protection to the consumers in the markets to believe that when they consume products from anywhere in the world, they are safe. And even if something happens, they are able to trace it back and take corrective measures. And so this has become an imperative in all markets.
The e-traceability technology focuses its efforts on Ghanaian shea and coconut-based cosmetic products, cassava, mango, and pineapples. Mr. Dajawa says the objective is for Ghana to achieve increased export revenue.
The target is that we should reach all producers, processors countrywide in Ghana, so that it doesn't matter where the product is coming from the remotest area of Ghana. Once it is going to be part of the product that will be exported out of Ghana, it must come under the traceability system. Because it's all about market entry. If you are not able to send your products into the market, certainly you will not be able to get the revenue. And the assurance that the market gets from us showing that we are able to put this system in place will open more doors for us to ensure that we export more.
The Plant Protection and Regulatory Services has already conducted mapping exercise on the selected value chains in the various regions. Prudence Atipo is head of Plant Quarantine Division of the Plant Protection and Regulatory Services Directorate at MOFA.
With the manual system, there were issues, but with the e-trace now, we could trace back to the exact spot that the plant or product was produced. And then if there are issues, we could sort it out with the farmer. as to whether the product got spoiled or something happened, what happened, then it could be traced back, and then mitigations are sorted out before next planting or before anything. If there are pest issues too, we could sort them out to find out what actually caused during the production, what really caused the challenge.
Regional Director of Agriculture, Reverend John Menu, says the initiative will be able to position made in Ghana product and services within the EU.
As far as this program is concerned, we have grouped our farmers with the support of Ghana Export and Promotion Council, group our farmers into farmer-based organizations, where we have farmers who are targeting, for example, oil palm, farmers who are targeting cocoa, farmers who are targeting mango. So we have them into groups, and the idea is to add value to these crops so that we can process them and also export them, especially targeting the European market.
Meanwhile, GEPA has since early February 2020 been implementing several activities under the WACOM with grant funding from the European Union. Prince Apia reporting.
Now, the first edition of the Joy Business Campus Roadshow is coming up this Friday, the 17th of September at the Valley View University OUB campus at 10 a.m. prompt. Now, the maiden edition, which is in collaboration with Valley View University, is an outreach that seeks to enable tertiary students access formal sources of career guidance in order to help them make adequate occupational choices and understand the practical career options available to them. Well, we're joined via Zoom by Head of Finance at the Valley View University, Dr. William Sepra. We're grateful that you could join us. Tell us more about this program. If you could kindly unmute so we could hear you better, Doc. Well, we seem not to have him, but we'll try reaching him to get in touch with him. To help us understand the Campus Roadshow, which is part of plans by both partners, Valley University and Joy Business, to bridge the unemployment gap by, really laying out the value chain of informed choices when it comes to which employment avenues are best for your skill set whilst you're in school, and of course, which areas that HR professionals are seeking for in the job market. But this is going to be happening on Friday at 10 a.m. So please make a date with us for that. But in the meantime, take a look at this particular promo that we've put together for you.
Are you a student who relies on family and friends for direction regarding which career path to choose? Or are you facing any challenges in deciding what exactly you want to do after school? Or how to even set that entrepreneurial dream of yours in motion? Joy Business, in collaboration with Valley View University, presents Joy Business Campus Roadshow, an outreach to enable you access formal sources of career guidance to help you make adequate occupational choices and understand the practical career options available to you. Join us at the Valley View University OUB campus on the 17th of September 2021 at 10 a.m. for the first edition of this outreach. Speakers are Farouk Kailan, CEO of Premium Africa Holdings, Foster Akugri, founder of the Hack Lab Foundation, Odelia Ntiamwa, head of Joy Business, Alistair Jimate, Public Relations Manager of Blue Skies, and Dr. William Pepra, Chief Finance Officer at Valley View University. This event is proudly supported by Valley View University, Goyle, Blue Skies, and Daliha Foods. You can't miss this opportunity to be empowered. Joy Business, empowering, prospering together.
And do make a date with us on the 17th of September for this all-important event. But we'll leave you with tidbits on how best to invest your money in our edition of Money Lab.
Welcome to another edition of the Money Lab. Today we'll talk about who a shareholder is. A shareholder is someone who has bought a stake in a company. On the Ghana Stock Exchange, there are listed companies who have shareholders. Now, the shareholder has a claim on the companies that they have bought shares in the following forms. Dividends. When the companies declare profits and agree to share the profits amongst the shareholders, the shareholder is entitled to his share of profits. In addition, when the company decides to split shares or issue bonus shares, the shareholder is entitled to receive his bonus. Another benefit of being a shareholder is capital gains. Now, what are capital gains? Capital gains come about as a result of a shareholder selling their stake in a company for a price higher than what they acquired it for. For example, someone buys shares in Republic Bank at 50 pesos per share. In 6 months, he sells the shares at 1 cedi per share. He has therefore gained 50 pesos or 100% return in his investment.
And that'll be it for the marketplace. I'm Charles Aite. For more news, to log on to myjoyline.com, where you can get updates on everything happening in Ghana and around the world. Many thanks once again for watching. Enjoy the rest of our programs.
Hi, this is Lexus Bill, host of Drive Time on Joy 99.7 FM. Listen, you don't have to worry if you miss Drive Time or Personality Profile. It's going to be live on our podcast page. Just log on to www.myjoyonline.com/podcast. You can listen to Drive Time, Personality Profile, and any other of your favorite shows on Joy FM on that page. You don't have to miss a show at all. Joy 99.7 FM, radio for discerning listeners.
Hello and welcome to Springboard, your virtual university.